What if the battle in your body is not happening to you, but for you? What if your pain, your symptoms, your exhaustion are not your enemy, but signals calling you to wake up? Right now, inside your body, trillions of cells are listening. They are responding not just to medicine, not just to food, but to your thoughts, your emotions, and your prayers. Science now confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. When you change your inner state, you change your biology. The moment you shift from fear to faith, from stress to surrender, your body begins to reorganize itself toward healing. Your body is listening to every thought, belief, and prayer you repeat, whether you are aware of it or not. Every moment, your mind is sending signals and your body is responding with chemistry, hormones, and cellular instructions. This is not philosophy alone. This is how biology works. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create chemical reactions, and those reactions become the language your cells understand. When you repeatedly think thoughts of fear, doubt, stress, or hopelessness, your body learns that state and begins to operate as if danger is always present. Muscles tighten, immunity weakens, inflammation increases, and healing slows down. Over time, the body memorizes these signals and lives in survival mode, even when no external threat exists. But the same system that learns stress can also learn healing. When you change what you repeat in your mind, you begin to rewrite the instructions your body follows. Beliefs are not just ideas, they are biological commands. A belief held long enough becomes a state of being. If you believe you are broken, your body responds as broken. If you believe healing is possible, your body opens the door to new patterns of regulation and repair. This is why prayer is not passive. Prayer is focused intention combined with meaning. And meaning is one of the strongest drivers of biological change. Every time you pray with awareness, you are teaching your body a new rhythm. The heart begins to slow, breathing deepens, and the nervous system shifts out of fight or flight. In that moment, your body receives a signal of safety. Safety is where healing lives. Cells repair best when the body is not under threat. Digestion improves, immune cells become more efficient, and inflammation quiets. Your body is not fighting you. It is responding to the messages you send again and again. Repetition is what wires the brain and conditions the body. The words you speak internally, especially when charged with emotion, shape neural pathways. If your prayers are filled with fear, begging, or desperation, the body still hears stress. But when prayer is filled with trust, gratitude, and certainty, the body hears alignment. Elevated emotions such as love, hope, and faith produce a different chemistry. These chemicals signal growth, repair, and balance. Over time, the body learns this new state is familiar and begins to operate from it automatically. Many people wait for the body to change before they change their thinking. But transformation happens the other way around. The body follows the mind. When you decide to think differently, feel differently, and pray differently, you interrupt old patterns. This interruption is powerful. It tells the body that the past is no longer in control. Each intentional thought becomes a vote for a new future state. And each prayer spoken with conviction becomes a rehearsal for health. Your cells are always adapting. They do not argue with your beliefs, they obey them. If you repeatedly tell yourself that healing is slow, impossible, or out of reach, the body aligns with that expectation. If you repeatedly affirm wholeness, restoration, and strength, the body begins to organize around those ideas. Prayer, when practiced consistently, trains the body to expect healing. Expectation changes perception. Perception changes chemistry, and chemistry changes structure. This is why awareness is the first step. You cannot change what you are unconscious of. When you begin to notice your inner dialogue, you begin to reclaim power. Each time you choose a thought that supports life instead of fear, you send a new signal. Each time you pray with presence instead of habit, you deepen that signal. Over time, these signals accumulate, and the body starts to respond in ways that once felt impossible. Healing begins the moment you shift from fear to faith within, because fear and faith are not just emotions, they are biological states. When fear dominates the mind, the body interprets the world as unsafe. Stress hormones flood the system, the nervous system locks into survival mode, and energy is diverted away from repair and restoration. In this state, the body is constantly preparing for danger, even if the danger exists only in thought. Over time, this internal environment weakens resilience and teaches the body to expect struggle instead of balance. Faith creates a completely different internal signal. Faith is not denial of symptoms or pretending everything is fine. Faith is an inner decision to trust a greater intelligence at work within you. The moment you move into faith, the body begins to relax its grip on survival. Breathing changes, the heart rhythm stabilizes, and the brain shifts into more coherent patterns. These changes are subtle at first, but they are powerful. The body responds to faith as a signal of safety, and safety allows healing processes to activate naturally. Fear keeps the mind focused on the past and the future. It replays old memories of pain or imagines worst-case outcomes that have not happened. This mental rehearsal trains the body to live in anticipation of harm. Faith brings the mind into the present moment. In the present, the body is not being attacked by memories or imagined threats. In the present, regulation becomes possible. When attention returns to now, the nervous system settles and the body gains access to its own intelligence. The shift from fear to faith is not dramatic, it is deliberate. It begins with awareness. You notice when your thoughts tighten your chest, shallow your breath, or create tension in your body. Instead of resisting those sensations, you choose to soften. You choose trust over control. This choice sends a new instruction to your cells. The body does not need perfect faith, it needs consistent redirection. Each time you choose faith, even briefly, you interrupt the chemical cycle of fear. Faith also changes how you pray. Fear-based prayer sounds like urgency, desperation, and pleading. The body hears those emotions and stays alert. Faith-based prayer sounds like surrender, gratitude, and certainty. Gratitude in particular is a powerful signal because it tells the body the outcome has already been received. When you feel gratitude before the physical evidence appears, your body begins to align with that future state. This alignment is W. Here, healing accelerates. As faith replaces fear, identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as a patient waiting to be fixed and begin to experience yourself as an active participant in your healing. This change in identity alters behavior, posture, and even gene expression. When the mind believes healing is possible, the body follows that belief with action. Cells become more responsive, systems communicate more efficiently, and the body starts moving toward balance instead of breakdown. Faith does not eliminate challenges, it changes your relationship with them. Pain is no longer proof of failure, but information guiding you inward. Symptoms are no longer enemies, but signals asking for attention and care. When fear dissolves, resistance dissolves with it. Resistance creates tension, and tension blocks flow. Faith restores flow, and flow supports regeneration at every level. Every time you choose faith, you are training your nervous system to respond differently. Repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity builds stability. Over time, the body learns this new state as normal. Healing does not arrive suddenly from the outside. It unfolds gradually from within as fear loses its authority and faith becomes the dominant signal shaping your inner world. Prayer becomes powerful when belief and emotion are aligned because the body does not respond to words alone. It responds to the state behind them. You can repeat prayers mechanically, but if your mind is scattered and your emotions are rooted in fear or doubt, The signal you send is mixed. The body reads inconsistency as uncertainty. When belief is clear and emotion is elevated, prayer shifts from repetition to embodiment. In that state, you are not asking for change, you are rehearsing it internally. Belief is the framework through which the mind interprets reality. Emotion is the fuel that gives that belly, EF momentum. When these two are disconnected, the body stays the same. When they come together, chemistry changes. Emotions like fear, guilt, or desperation release chemicals that reinforce survival patterns. Emotions like gratitude, love, and trust release chemicals associated with growth and repair. When you pray while feeling these elevated emotions, the body begins to experience healing as a present reality rather than a distant hope. The nervous system is especially sensitive to emotional tone. A calm, coherent emotional state sends a message of safety to every system in the body. Safety allows energy to move away from defense and toward restoration. This is why prayer is not just spiritual, it is physiological. When belief and emotion align, the brain produces rhythms that support integration, and the heart communicates more efficiently with the brain. This coherence creates the internal conditions where healing becomes more likely. Many people believe prayer fails because results do not appear immediately. In reality, prayer often fails to change the body because the inner state remains unchanged. If the mind believes in healing but the emotion is still fear, the body follows fear. If the words speak faith but the feeling is doubt, the body listens to doubt. Alignment means your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are moving in the same direction. This unity creates a clear signal the body can follow. Training this alignment takes practice. It begins by slowing down. When you pause, breathe deeply, and bring attention inward, you interrupt the noise of stress. As the body relaxes, emotion becomes easier to regulate. From this calm state, belief can take root. You begin to feel the truth of what you are praying rather than just thinking it. Feeling is the language of the body. When the body feels healed, even briefly, it begins to move toward that state natura. Lay! Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to align belief and emotion. Gratitude assumes the outcome has already occurred. When you feel grateful during prayer, you are signaling completion. The body responds by adjusting its chemistry to match that assumption. Over time, this practice conditions the nervous system to expect positive outcomes. Expectation shapes perception, and perception shapes biological response. As belief and emotion align consistently, your sense of identity starts to change. You no longer see prayer as something you do occasionally. It becomes a state you live in. This state influences how you think, move, and respond to challenges. Stressors that once triggered fear now trigger awareness. Awareness gives you choice, and choice keeps you out of old patterns. Prayer aligned with belief and emotion also breaks the cycle of waiting. Instead of waiting for healing to happen, you begin to participate in it internally. The body responds to participation. When the mind and heart are unified, signals travel more clearly through the nervous system and into the cells. Over time, this clarity reshapes habits, regulates systems, and strengthens the body's ability to repair itself from within. Breaking the habit of stress allows the body to return to balance, because stress is not just an external reaction, it is an internal pattern that the body learns over time. When stress becomes familiar, the nervous system begins to treat it as normal. The body wakes up already tense, breathing shallow, heart rate elevated, and muscles tight. Even without an immediate threat, the body stays prepared for one. This constant state of readiness drains energy that should be used for healing, repair, and regeneration. Stress is created when the mind repeatedly focuses on problems, memories, or imagined futures. Each stressful thought produces a chemical response and repeat. Aided chemical responses train the body into a predictable pattern. Over time, the body becomes addicted to these chemicals. This is why stress feels automatic. The body is not broken, it is conditioned. Breaking the habit of stress requires interrupting the loop between thought, emotion, and physical response. Awareness is the first interruption. When you notice tension in your body or racing thoughts in your mind, you are no longer fully inside the pattern. Observation creates distance. Distance creates choice. In that moment, you can choose to slow your breath, soften your posture, or redirect your attention. These small actions send a new signal to the nervous system. The body begins to understand that it is safe to relax. Breathing deeply and rhythmically is one of the fastest ways to shift out of stress. Slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which governs rest and repair. As breathing deepens, the heart rate slows, blood pressure stabilizes, and stress hormones decrease. The body does not need complex instructions. It responds immediately to signals of calm. With repeated practice, calm becomes familiar and stress loses its dominance. Breaking stress also requires changing emotional responses. Stress thrives on emotions like frustration, anger, and worry. These emotions reinforce survival chemistry. When you consciously choose emotions like acceptance, patience, or trust, you weaken the stress response. This does not mean ignoring challenges. It means responding to them from a regulated state. Regulation allows clarity, and clarity prevents unnecessary tension. The body seeks balance naturally when it is not being interrupted by constant stress signals. Digestion improves, sleep deepens, and immune function strengthens. Hormones begin to regulate, inflammation decreases, and tissues repair more efficiently. These changes are not dramatic. I see at first, but they are cumulative. Each moment of calm builds on the last, gradually reconditioning the body toward equilibrium. Breaking the habit of stress also changes how the brain functions. Chronic stress narrows perception and limits creativity. When stress decreases, the brain becomes more flexible and adaptive. New neural connections form, supporting healthier behaviors and responses. This flexibility makes it easier to choose calm again in the future, reinforcing the new pattern. Consistency is more important than intensity. You do not need to eliminate stress completely. You only need to interrupt it regularly. Each interruption weakens the old pattern and strengthens the new one. Over time, the body learns that balance is safe and accessible. What once felt unfamiliar becomes natural. As stress loses its grip, the body no longer wastes energy on constant defense. Energy becomes available for healing, growth, and restoration. Systems begin to communicate more effectively, and the body's innate intelligence guides it back toward balance without force or struggle. Winning the inner battle activates the body's natural healing intelligence, because the greatest conflict is rarely happening in the body itself, but in the mind that directs it. The body is constantly trying to move toward balance, repair, and harmony, yet conflicting thoughts, emotions, and beliefs interfere with that process. When the mind is divided between hope and fear, trust and doubt, the body receives mixed instructions. Healing intelligence works best when the inner environment is clear and unified. The inner battle often shows up as resistance. Resistance to pain, resistance to symptoms, resistance to uncertainty. This resistance creates tension, and tension blocks flow. The body responds to resistance as a threat, activating stress responses that shut down repair mechanisms. Why? Stop fighting your body and start listening to it. The battle begins to dissolve. Listening brings awareness, and awareness allows cooperation instead of conflict. Winning the inner battle does not mean forcing positivity or suppressing discomfort. It means acknowledging what is present without letting it define you. When you observe sensations without judgment, the nervous system calms. Calm allows the body to shift out of defense. In this state, healing intelligence has space to operate. The body knows how to heal. It only needs the right conditions. Belief plays a central role in this process. If you believe your body is weak or broken, you reinforce limitation. If you believe your body is intelligent and capable, you reinforce possibility. Beliefs are repeated instructions. Over time, the body organizes itself around them. Choosing empowering beliefs is not denial. It is alignment with the body's design. Emotion also determines whether the inner battle continues or ends. Emotions like fear, frustration, and guilt keep the nervous system alert. Emotions like trust, compassion, and gratitude signal safety. Safety is essential for healing intelligence to activate. When you feel safe within yourself, the body no longer needs to protect itself through tension or shutdown. Attention is another key factor. Where attention goes, energy flows. Constantly monitoring symptoms keeps energy locked in the problem. Shifting attention toward breath, stillness, or gratitude redirects energy toward regulation. This redirection weakens the inner battle. The body responds by rebalancing systems and restoring communication between organs and tissues. Consistency transforms intention into habit. Winning the inner battle is not a single decision, it is a daily practice. Each time you choose awareness over reaction, you reinforce cooperation within. Each time you choose trust of or fear, you strengthen healing signals. Over time, these choices create a stable internal environment where healing intelligence can function without interruption. Identity also shifts as the inner battle fades. You stop identifying as someone fighting their body and begin identifying as someone working with it. This change alters posture, movement, and behavior. The body responds to this new identity by expressing greater resilience and adaptability. As the inner conflict resolves, the body's systems begin to synchronize. Communication improves, rhythms stabilize, and energy flows more efficiently. Healing intelligence does not need to be forced or commanded. It emerges naturally when internal resistance is replaced with cooperation and the body is allowed to do what it was designed to do all along. When you change your inner state, you wake up to a new body because the body is a reflection of the mind that lives within it. The body is not fixed or static. It is constantly responding to signals from your thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Every inner state you repeatedly return to becomes a blueprint the body follows. If your inner state is dominated by stress, fear, or hopelessness, the body organizes itself around survival. If your inner state shifts toward calm, trust, and expectancy, the body reorganizes itself toward healing and balance. Your inner state is created by what you focus on and how you feel about it. Focus shapes attention, and attention shapes chemistry. When attention is locked on pain, symptoms, or past experiences, the body stays anchored to those patterns. When attention moves inward toward stillness, breath, or gratitude, the chemistry begins to change. This change is subtle but cumulative. Over time, the body recognizes this new chemistry as normal and begins to function from it automatically. Waking up to a new body does not require external force. It requires internal consistency. The body responds to what you practice emotionally and mentally, not to what you wish occasionally. Each time you enter a calm, coherent state, you teach your body a new language. The nervous system learns that it no longer needs to stay alert. Muscles soften, circulation improves, and systems that were once suppressed begin to activate. Sleep and rest become more restorative when the inner state changes. A calm inner environment allows deeper regeneration during rest. Hormones that support repair and immune function increase, while stress hormones decrease. This is why people often notice changes in energy, clarity, and comfort before they notice physical symptoms shifting. The inner change always comes first. Emotion is the doorway to transformation. Elevated emotions such as gratitude, love, and trust carry a signature that tells the body it is safe and supported. When you feel these emotions regularly, the body aligns with them. Cells respond by adjusting their behavior. Inflammation reduces, communication improves, and repair processes accelerate. The body is not responding to hope, it is responding to experience. Identity also plays a critical role. When you change your inner state, you begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer someone waiting to be healed, but someone living from a healed state. This shift changes posture, movement, and behavior. The body follows identity. When identity changes, habits change. When habits change, biology follows. Consistency transforms temporary states into lasting traits. Entering a new inner state once is helpful. Returning to it repeatedly is transformative. Repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity builds stability. The body begins to anticipate calm instead of stress. This anticipation changes baseline functioning. Waking up healed is not a miracle that happens overnight. It is the result of sustained inner alignment. Each day you choose awareness over reaction, presence over distraction, and trust over fear. You reinforce the new pattern. Over time, the body expresses what the mind has practiced, revealing a version of health that was always waiting beneath the old patterns.